Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Rooted Podcast. I'm so excited for this episode. We have a amazing guest. This dude has been in the hunting industry for a long time. He knows his waterfowl along with other things, and we're going to deep dive into all that, I promise. I'm talking about Mr. Jim Riley. Jim, we're so excited to have you, man. Thank you so much for coming on and, getting out a little bit and divvying up your schedule to chat with us here today.
My pleasure.
All right. But before we dive into that, as always, Ben, give us the good word, my friend.
All right. Today we're going to be in Luke chapter 1, talking about don't be afraid when God calls you to do something. Chapter 1, starting in verse 13, and we're going to skip over to 30. But it reads, "But the angel said, 'Don't be afraid, Zechariah. God has heard your prayer. Your wife Elizabeth will give you a son, and you're to name him John. You will have great joy and gladness, and many will rejoice in his birth, for he will be great in the eyes of the Lord.'" Skip over to 30. "Don't be afraid, Mary." This is talking about when the angel is coming to Mary to tell her that she will conceive Jesus, the Son of God. And he says, don't be afraid. Short, simple right here is whenever God's calling you to do something, don't be afraid to answer that call. Don't worry about the cons. Don't worry about anything that's coming against you, because God's already got the path laid out for you. He's already got it figured out. So don't be afraid. And that's what I got about that, Johnny boy. Don't be afraid, man.
Hey, Jim, whenever you may have been starting out in the hunting industry, was that ever a scary moment for you? Were you ever trying to not be afraid whenever you were diving off into what was the hunting industry back then,
I wasn't, because it was my happy place. It
Yeah.
was something I always did with my dad since I was a little kid. He carried me on his shoulders when I was 3 years old. I grew up in a duck marsh. I had my own Chesapeake Bay Retriever. I had my own decoys. And man, I entered that corporate world after college, and it just didn't feel right to me. So after about 3 years of wearing suits every day and calling on doctors, I said, you know what? Came home, told my mom and dad, I'm going to try to make a living in the hunting and fishing world. And I'll give it 3 years. If that doesn't work, I'll put a suit back on and I'll go back and sling medical equipment.
Well, how
Nice.
about that? What year was that around?
Well, that was when you're going to age me here now. That I graduated college in 92, and by about 95, 96, I was on that path to make my living in the hunting world. And by 99, I had landed kind of everyone's dream job with Cabela's Outdoor Adventures, traveling the world hunting and fishing and finding destinations for the good folks at Cabela's.
Oh, that is outstanding. That is absolutely outstanding. Talking about destinations, I've hunted all over the country. I've hunted up and down the East Coast, a bunch of different species. But I have to know, out of all the ducks you've ever hunted, what would be the favorite ducks that you like to hunt? What's the top one?
You know what? People ask me that: favorite place, favorite big game, favorite waterfowl, favorite upland. And I always say the same thing. It'd be like picking your favorite hunting dog or favorite kid or favorite pickup. You love them all for different reasons. So there's really not one that I can say, oh yeah, it's the best. Now, I'll tell you, I get drawn to Argentina a lot. I love the hunting down there. I love the food. I'm not one to miss a meal. It's the species of ducks. When I first went down there, I thought, my gosh, these aren't any of the same birds we shoot back home. And there was just so many of them. And the locals down there that didn't duck hunt. And I thought, well, these people are crazy. They've got the most beautiful marshes full of wildlife, ducks, and they're abandoned to other hunters. It's basically a utopia for the waterfowl hunter. And I was blessed. I got to go there when the goose season was still open. And I had grown up watching American Sportsmen with Kurt Gowdy, and they would go down there and hunt ashy head and Magellan geese. So I got in on some of that stuff in the late 90s, early 2000s, and it was unbelievable. So I think I've been back to Argentina 16 or 17 times, and I'm hoping to go again this June. What's so
Nice.
special about it is their season is, May, June, July. We're
Hmm.
not
Ah,
shooting any ducks up here May, June, July. Even
right.
conservation snow goose is done by then.
Hmm.
Wow, I didn't realize that it was that kind of summer months, if you will, up here.
Yep, you drop below the equator and the seasons flip 180 degrees.
Right. Huh. Well, there
Well,
you go.
there you go. And I have to agree with you. When people ask me, what's your favorite duck hunt or duck? Like, man, I answer the same way you do. I like them all. They all have something special. Like, I don't have one that I can say is, man, this was the best hunt ever. Like, I will only think about this hunt forever. I love every single hunt. I love every single species of duck, goose, swan. I love it all. I just can't get enough of it. So I agree with you 110% on what you're saying there. Cause, we did a hunt up in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, and man, that was awesome. Shooting sea ducks right there in the layout boats in the middle of the ocean, and then come back to Arkansas shooting mallards in the rice fields. It's all fantastic. It's just different. It's every hunt is just a little bit different, and it really boils down to who you're with too. That can make or break a hunt, really and truthfully.
Well, that's what makes waterfowl hunting so special to me, and why I'm so invested in it now is the camaraderie. And you can literally have 3, 4 generations in the blind. You can
Wow.
be joking, having fun. Birds come in, everyone quiets up. You shoot the birds. Dog goes and gets them. You're seeing your dog work. You get to be with grandpa, your son, your daughter. You know, I just love hunting ducks and being part of the waterfowl community. And other than those early mornings when you're jousting for spots, waterfowl hunters are a pretty good crew.
Hmm. I'd have to
Yeah,
agree with you on that.
I would say you probably have some stories of some public land bickering, if you will.
Yeah, my funniest story, guys, and I,
Please,
I
yeah.
wish old Phil was listening. Phil Robertson did a speech at the old herders up in Minnesota, and I went there and I wanted to see old Phil Robertson. I was a kid and I'd heard about him, the duck commander. So he got in there, and there was kind of a nerdy guy in the crowd, and it was his first time going to be heading out to the duck swamp, and he said, Phil, he said, I'm a little nervous. What do y'all do when you're duck hunting and you go back in the marsh and you pick your spot and some other fellas move up in on your spot and try to crowd you? He goes, well, he says, I'll tell you what we do down home. He says, what's that? He goes, well, I'd head over there in my boat and I'd say, fellas, we can either hunt together or we can take it to the bank. And I started laughing, and that guy goes, you mean like fight each other? He said, yeah,
Yeah.
we're going to fight or we're going to hunt together. And the guy goes,
That's right.
all right, all right. But I think that's how old Phil used to handle it. Oh, him and Warren Coco zipping around in their Go Devils.
That's a good story.
Yeah,
That's
that was a
awesome.
fun one.
That is
Wow.
outstanding. Oh, that's great.
So, okay. I know you just talked about Argentina, and as someone who you know, I've been out of the country a couple times, but I've, really out of the country once. I went to Scotland, and I've told a bunch of people, man, travel, travel, travel. And I feel like if you could book a hunt around your travel, that's got to be the coolest thing ever. What I would love to hear this recommendations on hunting out of America. What kind of tips and tricks do you think you could give people to maybe that they won't see or know about that, someone who's done it 17 times can tell them that maybe an article or
And that's
something.
just one country. Leave your scatter gun at home. Most of these places are going to have Benelia Berettas.
Okay.
Leave your gun at home. Bring your favorite gear. They're not going to have gear like we have as far as waders and that. Bring your own waders. I would. It's worth the extra, but don't bring a gun. And bring a group of buddies you can have fun with, because unless you speak their language, you're probably going to be talking to each other the whole time. Your guide will probably be bilingual.
Oh,
And don't wait till you're an old man to do it. Most of these fellas that call me, they're like, all my friends are dead. Do you think you have any room on a single solo hunt for me? Could I join another group? And that's pretty heartbreaking. You know, go do it while you're young. Folks will go out and spend $200 a night at the bar, but you ask them to go on a $3,000 trip and they can't scrape up the money. That never made sense to me. Man, I saved every dime I could as a kid for either I was hitting the Cabela's catalog or trying to go on another trip.
Yeah, I get that, man. Well, it's all about priorities, right? I mean, that's what life's about.
That's
You know,
right.
what do you want out of it? And what a lot of people don't do is, they see a goal and they're like, okay, it's 3,000. I just need to save. It's okay. Well, what you really need to do is go, okay, it's 3,000. It's not I'm here. Here's the goal. How do I get there? It's I'm here. Here's the goal. Let's backtrack it. Let's back engineer this thing, reverse engineer it, and then make your plan from there. I mean, I think it's a very doable thing. When someone, I'm sure you've had this happen, and Ben, I'm sure you've been in these conversations too. When someone's like, "You pay $3,000 to kill a bird? Oh my gosh, that's so much money!" And it's like, again, to your point, dude, you spend that in 3 weeks on random stuff. Like this is
Smoking cigarettes and drinking
yeah,
beer and whiskey.
it's like, yeah, here's an experience that you're going to tell your children, and then it's just going to keep on, keeping on.
Well, I can't see going and spending $5, $6, $8,000 to go to an all-inclusive resort and get drunk every night and lay on a beach. That doesn't do it to me. I want to go.
No.
I want to go hunting or fishing. So that's why my whole life is built around that industry. And you asked that question, it just kind of hit me. The light came on. The other thing is fear. People, man, if they were born in, Montgomery, Alabama, and they don't want to ever leave their county. I don't want to go out.
Yeah, we know
They're
some
nervous.
people like that.
They talk tough, but they're afraid. And all I can tell them is, God gave us the greatest place you could imagine, and that's Earth. If you don't have the gumption to get out and enjoy it, you're missing on the biggest gift you're ever going to get. And that's seeing the rest of the world. That's what I tell my clients. And I've had a lot of clients for a long time. And, I see their Facebook posts and their memories, and a lot of them are centered around their adventures now that they've gotten a little bit older and have the resources. Maybe when you're young, you don't have the money, but you're going to have it if if you're a believer, if you're Christian and you work hard. It's the Forrest Gump principle. I don't care what you do, whether you play ping pong, you work concrete, you swing a hammer, you drive a truck, you're going to have money. And you're going to go do fun stuff and make memories.
I couldn't agree more. And I'm just like you when it comes to going to a resort and just laying on a beach. I get crispy. I turn into an old lobster. These old legs hadn't seen the sun in years. Right. I wear pants every day of the summer, so I walk out and it looks like, oh my gosh, there's a transparent man. He must be a ghost. Everybody runs.
I always think we're Iowa farmers is what I always hear. Look at that way. Iowa farm.
Yeah, tan arms and tan face, and the rest is translucent.
Yeah, it's always fun when you've been fishing all summer and you wear your Costas or whatever glasses you prefer, and you go somewhere and people are like, what's wrong with your face? Your eyes, they're white and the rest is burnt. Yeah, that's a good look. I like that look. I'll take it.
Yeah, me too.
I heard that. So where did you grow up, Jim?
I grew up in Minnesota, and it was kind of a cool thing. My dad knew that his son, I was his only boy, he had 3 daughters and me, and he knew right away I was going to be a hunting machine, and he ended up buying 70 acres about 2 hours away from the Twin Cities, so on weekends, that's where we went. And I cut my teeth hunting grouse, ducks, geese, white-tailed deer, and bear.
And that is
bear
awesome.
We had a lot of bears, bears.
Okay, that makes sense. Huh.
It's no spot and stock. You got to bait them because it's all heavy timber. I only saw a few bears in the wild where they weren't baited in.
Really? Okay. Huh. How about that?
Yeah, I didn't know anything about that. Didn't know anything about that at all.
That's pretty cool.
So we started, my dad took me when I was 6 years old, and took me to some public land on ducks. I'll never forget it. It's the coldest I've ever been in my life. Other than duck hunting New England. That was the other coldest I've ever been in my life. He took me out to Lake Gunnersville and we camped right on the riverbank with his buddy named Brian. They're like, man, we're gonna kill some ducks right here. We got some redheads and canvasbacks and bluebills. I was like, sweet. I don't even know what you're talking about, but that sounds great. Maybe I'll hit one. So we get out there and it's a, all public walk-in spot and there wasn't nothing but coots. I mean, that was it. And I shot a pile of coots and I was so proud of them. I took them home with me and my mama said, you better get them things out of my car right now. She said, you ain't even going to bring them in my house. I said, but I want to mount it. It's my first duck. She said, absolutely not. I was like, well, all right, fair enough. So we ended up, that started a fire in me. And, I had a bunch of other friends over the years that took me and, folks from church that would take me. And man, it just exploded. That's all I ever talked about. In fact, I drove my parents crazy because all I ever did was sit in my room and blow the duck call, trying to figure out how to do that old mallard call. Take it outside. So they told me, my dad told me, and I still got the call on my lanyard. I use it to this day. It was a early model Daisy Cutter from R&T, the old Coca-Cola with the actual scroll work on it. And Dad got me that when I was a kid, and I have never let go of that call. I have been using it ever since. And he told me, he said, I'm going to break that call in half if you don't stop blowing it in this house. And I said, yes, sir.
I like when you're ripping on your call just before the season and you're driving around in your truck and the people are looking around and the earth is.
Yeah.
I won't say a non-duck hunter, but I didn't grow up where a bunch of ducks were. I'm in East Tennessee. There's some ducks that live here, but I'm not on a flyway.
Right.
I'm not where ducks want to be. I've shot some geese, and then I've been fortunate enough to ride around with Ben and be on some really special hunts filming. But man, I have never met a group of people more dedicated to a call in my life. I mean, every group I'm in, it's this old duck call right here from 1974. I can tell. I mean, and they go boom, boom, boom. This one time, man, I was in Arkansas flood, and I'm like, so I got to know because I know you got a call. What's the call that no matter what, it's with you?
Man, I left my lanyard in Canada about 10 years ago that had all my favorite calls. Foils gave me one of his first duck calls. I got the goose call still, the straight meat goose call, but he gave me one of his first duck calls. I ended up getting old Foils into Cabela's.
Who's Foils?
Jeff
Sorry.
Foils.
About to say, I'm again didn't grow up in the duck hunt world.
So
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that. If I had a call here, I'd do it. But man, that drives ducks crazy.
Mm-hmm.
When you got to sound like you're a whole flock of ducks feeding, And I found that works for me. I'll use a little bit of highballing, but mainly I'm a greeting call guy and a chuckle and quack with a little now and then.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And one thing that I learned in the duck calling deal is if there's more than one guy in the blind duck calling, I try to go off what they're doing. So if they're doing your quacks, I'll do the chuckle and just kind of switch back and forth. So it sounds like, there's different ducks in different parts of the field or wherever you're hunting.
Yep.
And yeah. And I think that's one very helpful tip for folks is if you're calling with somebody, just soundboard off somebody else and do the direct opposite.
Well, there you go. Yeah, see, look, I just shut up. There's way more qualified people in that blind than me to blow the duck call. I can do it good enough, but I'm not a chuckling guy. Nope.
Ticket.
Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. I need a master class lesson from you two. Ben has tried. Ben, I feel sorry for that guy. He sat sat with me in the truck for hours and hours and hours. And I've gotten better, but look, I'm a turkey caller, okay? I'm not a duck caller. I've been on the Grand National stage for turkeys. I can do that. But when it comes to ducks, yeah, I'm just gonna leave that to Ben and you if we ever go. I'm like, Jim's got it. I'll just wait to shoot him.
Listen, I
Yeah.
always say 2 guys blowing the duck call out of a party of 4 or 6 is enough. But geese, man, if you can rip a call, rip. The more you
Oh,
got
yeah.
going, the better.
Yes, I couldn't agree more with that.
Why do geese act different than ducks?
They're way more vocal.
Mm-hmm.
One
Very vocal.
other geese, they just start talking to them and clucking and calling, and they're wild.
Now, is this
Mhm.
from Canadian geese, the snow geese, blue geese, raw? I mean everything.
Man, I got to check you there because this is a big problem with our clients of our company. They always say Canadian geese.
Canada.
There's no such thing. They're named after a man named Canada.
So
So
I named after a man, huh? I didn't
yeah,
know that.
so a Canadian goose would be just one that lived in Canada,
Canada.
came to
Now-
visit.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So was his first name Canada?
Something like Joe Canada or something.
Nice.
Huh.
Okay.
I didn't
Yeah.
know.
So yeah, you've got Canada goose.
Mhm.
Well, I'll be daggum.
Now I think that you better get your checklist out. You're up to 3 things you've learned tonight.
See
Yeah.
there? Hey, look, I'm all about learning. I'm all about it.
Mhm.
Listen, in life, if you can learn it. You know what I mean?
Listen, he did that little Bible verse, and that opened the doors.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's
Look,
right.
I'm all about dude, let me tell you, I may see 5 ducks a year here if I'm
Mhm.
lucky. Now, plenty of Canada, not Canadian, Canada geese, but but they're not. They just live here. It's not like they're.
You got a golf course
migrating.
and water. You got a Canada goose nowadays.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Yes.
Hey, it's funny.
They love to
It's
sleep on those golf courses.
Well, it's
Yes,
hilarious. You actually say golf course. I live in the golf capital of Tennessee. That's funny enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny enough. Yeah.
But so I mean, I'm if I can learn, dude, I'm all about it. But speaking of different species and things, is there? I mean, I know we're talking about ducks and all that. I mean, do you ever get out and hunt something else, or is it like, man, once it's duck season, that's all I care about, and if
No.
it ain't duck season, I ain't hunting.
You know, I'll tell you what. I shot 27 big game animals on 4 continents one year, and that kind of filled my bucket. I hunt for big game now to eat. I guided moose and brown bear in Alaska. I have probably 100 bulls under my belt in Colorado guiding
Wow.
elk. I like calling things, turkeys, elk, moose, anything I can call, and I like hunting dangerous game as well.
Mhm.
But mainly now it's, getting a deer for the freezer. My wife likes to eat deer. She grew up in Minnesota too. She'll eat wild game. We just had crappies tonight for dinner. I caught down here in Florida. They call them
Nice.
specks down here. Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, deer, bison. I mean, any of the stuff we can bring home and eat. I'm not much for putting stuff on the wall anymore. I'm going to put a sailfish and maybe a mahi on the Florida house here. We're down living here, and I don't know. It's not the right house to throw a bunch of elk and moose up on the wall.
Hold on, time out. Wait just a second. You got a place to mahi fish,
We have a house in Mexico.
dude?
We
Look,
got
I don't know how this podcast is. I think it's going good. Me and you become friends. I feel. I mean, hey, look, Ben will tell you, it's turkeys first, and then, dude, I kind of like fishing more than I do deer hunting.
Well,
By
let
like
me ask
this
you
much,
about. Do you know how to slow pitch jig?
buddy. I can learn. What are you
That's
saying?
right.
You got to Google slow pitch jigging. It's the hottest thing going now.
Hold
It came
on, I'm
from
googling
Japan.
it right now. Hold on.
It's
What kind?
metal jigs. They're from about 80 to 400 grams. You get yourself down in 80 to 400 feet of water. You drop that thing to the bottom, and then you jig it. And either you roll fast like this, and it's a light rod, looks like a crappie rod,
Really?
or you slow pitch it where you're just popping it. But you watch some videos on YouTube when we're done with this.
Yeah.
It's addictive. Down at our house in Mexico, we fish out of a 27-foot panga. You actually wear knee pads because those fish just pull you against the side of the panga and you lock your knees into the side and fight these fish. And like this time of year, December is amberjack. As we get later in the year, the pelagics will move in March and April, and you'll get tuna, you'll get mahi, you'll get all kind of different sales will even come through.
Come on.
You hook all kind of crazy stuff on these jigs, and it's rather than trolling, which is boring to me, you're jigging them.
That sounds like a lot of fun right there.
I'm
It's
all
a
the way
lot
in.
of fun. And then
Yep.
we've got blue water a mile and a quarter from our door of our casita, our cabin.
Gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Jim, I'm in, dude.
Yeah, same here. I love the salt water. I love it.
I'm in.
Down here in Florida, I've got to go 100 miles into the Gulf to get into 100 feet of water, 120 feet of water. They say you got to go a mile a foot. But we have about the best shallow water grouper fishing in the world right here.
I would agree with that.
What are you catching there, mainly?
Okay, groupers, 7 to 30 feet of water. Okay. We don't have much of a season, so it's a lot of catch and release, but there's a couple guys down here that absolutely have it dialed in. And if you ever want to come down here, we could book a guy. His name's Brandon Branch, and that's the man.
Heck yes.
Hey, look, you're gonna learn something, Jim. If you don't mean it, don't say it because I'll show up.
I got a place. I got a place you can stay. We got a pool here at the house. I cook all the time. I got a freezer full of halibut.
Yep. All right. We'll see you in July.
Buddy, I am in like Flint. And hey, look, I can cook for you too. That's what I did by trade. That's how I made my money, like we were talking earlier. So but listen, I'm not opposed to being cooked for. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm all about it. Oh, yeah.
We can do fishing. I'm also the marketing manager for a fishing lodge in Sitka, Alaska called Middle Lodge. So yeah, my talons run pretty deep in the hunting and fishing world.
Yeah, I would say they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm pretty darn blessed. I just wrote on Facebook. I went to church this weekend, guys, and I sat there, and my wife had to drag me to church a little bit because I always say I pray out in the field because Sunday is a day to be in the field because I work, 6 days a week. But I went to church with my wife, and as I sat there, I thought, how blessed I must be to live in a place where I can hunt, fish, have an amazing wife who, by the way, guys, served our country 27 years in the Air Force. She's a retired major. I'm darn proud of her.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just sat there thinking that the whole time, how blessed and fortunate. And, I never take this life I have for granted. And sometimes I got to pinch myself, and I tell my friends that are in it, man, do you ever think how lucky we are? All these, most of these foreign countries that we go hunt and fish in, those people can't ever do what we do unless they're, politicians or very wealthy people. Heck, I just came from a dad who was in the Army and worked for a trucking company. We just worked hard, and it just shows you can obtain anything you want.
Dude, I couldn't agree more, man.
Yep, I couldn't agree more either. That's what we've been doing. That's how the show started. John started with me with a conversation that went something like, well, I don't know if I can pay you or not, but this is what I'm doing, and you're welcome to come with me.
And I've heard that a few times.
And he's been with me since day one. He's the reason we're doing this podcast. This podcast is 110% John. That is what it is. And I've said that 100 times, but yeah, he's been my right-hand man the whole entire time.
Yeah,
and
man.
It's been a good, fun ride. I'll tell you that.
Jim, you will never believe how me and him met through a barber. You would never believe that by looking at him. But sure enough, man, we met through a barber. And
must have been a long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah, but yeah, dude, it's just in a college dorm or college apartment, and it just kind of happened. And it's kind of the same kind of thing. It was kind of one of them now or never moments. I had job offers to go sit in a cubicle and run numbers and be on a finance team and, great and dandy, and all. But I was like, well, I can either do that or tote around a camera and, travel the country and hunt and have a good time, meet a lot of great people. I always think when I'm in moments like this, like literally a moment that I'm in right now, it's like this would have never happened had I went the other way. I don't know if you ever have that moment in life when you're like, man, what would have, had I done this instead of this, right? Had you never taken off the suit, where
All the time.
it's like, it's crazy, really, when you zoom out. That's what I like to say. Just zoom out a minute. It's like, holy crap, you just never know, man.
That's
Never
right.
know. Never know where the Lord's going to take you. You just got to let Him put you where He wants you to be.
Well, the harder he whoops you, the better off you're going to be when you come out of it. Trust me.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you really knew me, you would know I speak from experience.
Mm-hmm.
The harder you get whooped, you're coming back twice as strong. If
Mm-hmm.
you had a golden spoon your whole mouth, you're probably not going to ever
Yeah.
appreciate the little things like I do now. And I appreciate a day in the field. I appreciate a good steak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no
I
doubt.
bought me a little crappie boat today. Cost less than my Hobie kayak.
Yeah.
I'm so damn proud of that thing. My wife came out. She goes, I think your little boat's cool. I said, so do I. I'm going to have a lot of fun in this thing down.
Dude, my
Yes.
goodness. My dad bought my dad is from Jersey and my grandfather was a captain. I think that's just where I love to fish comes from.
Right?
And so, dude, somewhere in Jersey, somewhere in life, way before I was even a thought, my dad bought this like 16-foot V-bottom aluminum boat for like $50. Dude, we've fished out of that thing, man. I mean, it's just one of those kind of deals where it's like if someone else was to look at it, like, look at this crappy little boat, dude. This thing's a piece of junk. Probably leaks. We got to fix a leak, a little tiny leak in it every year. It's a junk, but it's like, dude, that thing has caught thousands and thousands of fish, saltwater, freshwater, all of it.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, man, and my dad's one of these people, and I kind of am, and it's a cursing and a blessing all in the same breath. But I try to have nice stuff, but it's also like, hey man, if it works, why do I need a new one?
That's right. And hey, what it lacks in beauty, it makes up for in memories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the truth. I like that. Put that on a T-shirt.
Yeah, that's right. And I'll tell you one thing that I learned about crappie fishing. We used to fish out of this riveted canoe all the time for crappie. And one of the rivets popped out one day and started spewing water in the boat. Well, that little jig is the perfect size to just pop right in that rivet hole and it plugs your leak. There you go. There's your
There
little
you
tip.
go. Well, I
Yep, it
learned
works.
something down here about crappie fishing.
Yeah.
You've got all these big hydrilla mats, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw this fella, and he had like a hook and a 10-foot pole, and he'd take his motor and plow right into the hydrilla, and then I'd see him raking, splashing, raking, and he'd make a hole about 10, 12 inches in diameter, and then he'd splash. I'm like, what is this crazy man doing? I watch him. He's got like a 10-foot fishing pole. Pop. About a pound and a half crappie. Pop. Another one. Then another one. I said, this is amazing. So I tried to follow him in my kayak, and finally I came up to him. I said, how many do you catch today? I had one, right? He opens his cooler. He goes, I just need one more for my limit. I got 24.
Holy cow!
They were gigantic. They were 12 to 14 and a half inch crappies.
Holy crap!
So I came home and I stole one of our pool cleaning net poles, telescopic pole. Told my wife, I'm going to take this. And then I said, can I take some of your garden tools? And I took a little garden rake or hoe or whatever you call it she had, and I carved it. I had a plastic handle. I carved it so it fit in there, and I drilled a hole in it and got that bolted onto that pool thing. And I went out test fishing, and I hammered them. And I did it
Wow.
again, and I hammered them. And I said, okay, I'm going to catch 5 and bring them home for dinner. I made them tonight. There is no way my wife and I could eat 5 of those giant crappies. So we fed the neighbors, and we still got some for breakfast tomorrow. I'm going fishing tomorrow offshore.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
Nice.
bring them with.
Nice.
But I learned something new down here, and I just love it. I can't wait to go again.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
it's never too late to learn something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I listen to everybody. I've been blessed to hunt and fished all over the world, but everywhere I go, I try to learn something new and apply it to something new.
Couldn't
Absolutely.
agree more.
Me neither. Me neither on
Nice.
that. I'll tell you, I have learned so much just every day. I feel like if you stop learning, you're not listening enough because you can always learn something new from somebody that, especially when you're hunting in an area they're native to and they know, like, hey, this is the way that it works here the best, just like what you were talking about on the crappie stuff. And you know, apply that to duck hunting. Sometimes duck hunting is totally different in different places that you go. You use different decoy setups. You hunt different things. Like you're hunting big body divers, you're not going to be in knee deep water leaned up against a tree most of the time. You're going to be in 20, 30 foot of water with long lines. That's kind of how that works. But, I just think that's super cool that you shared that. And I think it's something that, folks really need to hear is listen to folks. Just listen to them. Try it.
We call it "Don't guide the guide."
Yeah,
When you
don't
go
guide the guide.
someplace new and someone's taking you, shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Learn something. I guarantee you, they're going to know what they're doing way more than you do.
Yeah, they've
How many
been there
times
for a
has
long
someone
time.
tried to guide you in your years of guiding?
Me?
Yeah, like how many times did you're taking a client out and someone was trying to guide the guide, you being the guide? And
Well, before I got old and fat, if they tried that project, and then they got the walk of death, we call it.
Yes.
You put about 4 or 5 miles on them
Mm-hmm.
through every nook, cranny, log, roll, flipped over creek, river. And after about 2 hours, 3 hours of that, they say, "Hey, man, did I say something wrong? But trying to tell me how to do this. Let's do it my way the first 3 days. If we haven't accomplished the mission, then we're going to try your way. But I bet you we don't make it 3 days if you listen to me."
There you go.
And that's true. And hey, listen, when I go with people, if I hire a guide, I shut up and let him guide.
Mm-hmm.
There
I
you go.
agree. Couldn't agree more.
He knows his arena better than I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Yep. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
So, okay. I kind of want to get back into this duck hunt stuff for just a second. Both of y'all have gone all over the place hunting ducks. And I've watched some videos, right, where somewhere like in Alaska, King Eider, does that sound about right? What's one of the main things why people go there? And then I see both of y'all have hunted out of the little boats or whatever,
Way
layout
out.
boats in the ocean. I mean, and I know it's got to be freezing cold. Like, what's the hardest duck hunt, waterfowl hunt, I'll say, that you've ever been on? Just like mentally, physically, just draining, tough, hard nose hunt.
Alaska's pretty tough. I haven't done the King Eider hunt on St. Paul Island, but everyone I talk to tells me that's the toughest hunt.
Okay.
Because of the weather and the waves. You're out there bouncing around in a Zodiac with a string of decoys attached to you, trying to shoot an eider when it flies by as you're bouncing in and out of, anywhere from 2-footer to 7-foot waves. Everyone says that's the toughest. My business sold a flotation jacket and bibs. So in case you flipped out of the boat, it'd at least keep you alive for a couple minutes. Hopefully they get you to shore. But other than that, I don't know. I don't find cold. If you got some good duck shooting going on, I don't feel the cold.
Well, and the gear's so good anymore, right? For the most part.
Oh, man, our gear is good, and you got hand warmers and hats and neck gaiters, and these waders nowadays are amazing. So yeah, I just don't. I just find it. I love it. I mean, if it's a little harsh out there, if it's snowing and I got ice freezing on my beard, that's cool. I like it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I love it.
You get a lot.
Absolutely. Oh, I do.
Mine not so much. It never gets more than about 1/2 inch. So I'm not.
Well, see, I went in and got a built-in neck gaiter. It wraps all the way around.
You're ready, yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready to go all the time.
There you go.
That's
Wow.
right.
Well, I mean, this has just been one of the coolest conversations I've ever had. So it sounds like, as long as you're having a good time, the hunting is really not all that bad.
No, that's the truth.
Nah, and
That
it's
is.
like we said, it's a gift that we get to go hunting. So to
Mhm.
whine about the weather,
Yeah.
I better check myself out and start going to pickleball.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I
You
agree
know,
100%.
I'll go to Anytime Fitness.
Mm-hmm.
oh man. So okay, you were in Cabela's. What'd you tell me? 96
No,
ish.
99. I started with Cabela
99. Okay.
and worked for them 4 years. They made me live in Sydney, Nebraska. The job was 10 out of 10. Where I had to live was 1 out of 10. And finally, I said, I can't do this. I don't want to grow old here by myself in Sydney, Nebraska. So I left and I started guiding big game in Colorado, South Dakota, Alaska. And the same time I was guiding, I built my own hunting and fishing agency. So for years, I ran my business called Riley's Outdoor Consulting. And under that umbrella, I booked international big game hunting and fishing trips. And then from there, a few years ago, I bought part of the Ultimate Waterfowlers Challenge. And I think that's how we got hooked up.
Mm-hmm.
The Ultimate Waterfowlers Challenge. There's a few people that have tried to copy the guys that started it, but they are the original official North American Grand Slam or Hunt for the 41. They coined that term and trademarked the North American Grand Slam. So basically, they built a challenge of 41 species of waterfowl. They did include the sandhill crane, which is not considered waterfowl by Fish and Wildlife, but for all of us that hunt, sandhill crane is waterfowl to us. We're
It
digging,
is.
shooting it, we're eating the heck out of it. It's
Oh, yeah.
waterfowl. And so folks go ahead and try to reach the challenge, and they've got different points along the way where they get awards. And once they pay for their membership, those awards are all included. Ends when you get to the 41 species and you're awarded with a King Eider trophy that's hand carved with a great big plaque base with your name on it, your member ID number, and your date of completion. And now we started probably the coolest thing we've ever had. And we opened it up to any duck hunter or, waterfowler. And because of my, love of and patriotism for the military, I've come to acquire quite a few challenge coins from my friends. I've donated a lot of money and time to several special groups of military folks,
Yeah.
raising money for them to go on trips. And I just always thought those challenge coins were so cool. So now we have our own waterfowl challenge coins for the 41 species coming out. We have 8 out on the market now. 8 more will come out in about 4 weeks. And we hope by the middle of the summer, we'll have all 41 species available. And we built a custom board with the 41 big 41 on it. It's a big laser engraved board that they can display their coins on. And what's really cool is that thing's magnetized and the coins have a high enough iron content that the hunters can go ahead and, as they get their birds, put their coins on there and not have to epoxy them. And
Wow.
what's crazy about these coins is what I see happening is dads and moms are buying them for their kids for their first mallard. That makes me happy.
That's
The
cool.
little kid, he's going to go to his stocking and there's going to be his two-sided medallion. I've got one here. I'm going to show you.
Yeah, please. Yeah, please do. Challenge coins are a really, really cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
My father-in-law's company, they kind of do the same thing. So yeah, it's a big deal, and especially.
So this is one of our international coins,
Oh, wow.
and that's a barnacle goose.
Mm-hmm.
That's for Europe. We have an international challenge,
Oh,
and that's all the international coins of that on the back. So it's not a trinket. I mean, this thing's heavy,
yeah.
and
That's nice.
people really like them. I mean, they want to get them and they want to display them. And so the challenge is all the awards are only for members. Like I say, these are going to be or are available even if you're not a member. And the other complaint that I get sometimes is guys go, well, I already shot 30 species. I don't want to start over. Well, we allow you to grandfather only 3. But this, if you want to buy the board and buy your 30 species, you go ahead and do what you want. It's all 100% honor system. It's up to you to do any challenge you want. And the other crazy thing we've got is guys have finished the challenge. Now they want to go back and do it with a sub gun, a 28 or a 410. And they can buy this board and get a plaque on there, custom made. We leave room for a plaque. You can get done at any little trophy shop that says, hey, completed the challenge number 2 with a 410 or a 28 or 20.
Nice.
So it's pretty neat with this TSS shot out there. Guys can really hammer these birds with a 410 or 28.
Yeah.
That's the truth right there.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a big focus of mine right now. It's the Ultimate Waterfowler Challenge. I'm hands-on. I actually do all the entries every night. We get thousands of people that enter their birds every season. I'm sending plaques out nearly, well, every day because at least 5 to 7 a week minimum.
Yeah.
And then we have a big bash. We have a big party every year, and we're expanding that to have 3 or 4 parties so people don't have to fly. Everyone doesn't have to fly into Minnesota. And it looks like we're going to end up having one in South Carolina, one in Minnesota, and one in Texas. And
Nice.
what we do there is we give out awards there. We recognize people that have reached the different levels, but then we have an auction. We have usually a sporting clays event or something, a really nice dinner, maybe a speaker. Each event will be a little bit different. And we'll try to run it and coincide it with some big event that's in the area. Like in South Carolina, they do the Southeast Wildlife Expo. And what we'll probably do is during a Friday night or Saturday night, we'll rent a space and put on a dinner to coincide so people can come to town and not only come do what we're doing, but then participate in whatever trade show, sports show, or whatever is going on in town that week.
That is
I like it.
outstanding.
I like
I
having a
love
good
it.
time and partying up with a bunch of like-minded people. So
Yeah, these are good people. We had a kid, 16 years old, finish the 41. He got
Wow.
up there and thanked grandma, grandpa, dad. He thanked God. It
Wow.
was pretty amazing. And his dad's trying to get him in the Guinness Book of World Records for the youngest kid to complete the 41s. There's nothing like that in there, you know?
Yeah, oh yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yeah.
How about that?
That gives me a challenge to get my boy on the 41. We're going to have to get started real soon. He's 3, so we've got time.
Get him
Get
going,
it done.
man.
Get him going before he turns 16, and we'll try to beat that.
Yeah, there you go.
So, this whole challenge thing, obviously, and we talked about this, you're gonna have to travel, right? To go get these different. Does the challenge itself, and I know you're a guide and you've booked hunts. Do you have recommendations?
Yeah,
Like,
we book all those hunts. We're a hunting agency as well, so we can help you with all your hunts. The other thing is we have a Facebook page for our members, and I see members on there like swapping hunts, and I allow that. I don't monitor that or tell people they can't do that. But
that's cool.
right now, actually, I've got some guys that own a hunting lodge in Mexico. They're up in Oregon hunting, and then the outfitter that's up in Oregon is going to come down to Mexico later in the year and hunt.
Yeah.
So we got all kinds of that, a lot of camaraderie and friendships get made in this group.
Well, then that's just that's just part of it. I mean, it's all about getting together and, if we can switch hunts, that's always a bonus. And just, meeting new brothers and sisters in this world. That's the coolest part to me was, it's such and y'all know this just as well as I do. This hunting industry is so small.
Oh, it's tiny. And,
Mhm.
you mentioned women. You can't believe the amount of girls joining the Ultimate Waterfowlers Challenge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and why why wouldn't you not encourage like your daughter or maybe a sister or somebody to get involved? I mean, it could be so much fun for everybody. That's really heavy on me right now. So I have a daughter on the way, and my wife and I have been talking about this, and of course, like my mother-in-law and everything's, man, is she gonna hunt? I'm like, yeah, yeah. It's not even like I'm not even
Mhm.
thinking about it. Like, obviously she'll do what she wants to do, but yeah, am I going to make her try hunting? Of course I am. Yes, you're going to go. And I've just it was kind of funny because I never thought like, oh, well, she's a girl, she may not like. Oh no, she's going. Like I've never,
Mhm.
it just never crossed my mind of her not going. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So I think it's great that women get involved in it. I'm all for it. I love it. Tear it up.
Me too.
You know.
Me too. I love every second of it. And, my boy, he's going to go. And then my little girl, if she wants to go, she'll have her lifetime license in Tennessee too. And she'll be able to hunt the rest of her life if she wants to. If she don't, well, that's fine too. But she's at least going to go with daddy once or twice and hopefully a lot more. But I am
Yeah.
definitely immersing my children in the hunting. That just, I don't know, it kept me out of a lot of trouble, and I've made some of the best friendships of my entire life in a duck blind, watching God's creation come to life, and then going home and eating what we killed. It's molded my life in a very special way. I've killed a bunch of ducks. I'm one of those guys that's killed 30 ducks to be exact. And, I've got pictures of pretty much all of them. But, it's one of those things where, I wouldn't mind starting the challenge again, grandfathering in 3 of them and then
You're young
ripping
enough.
it again.
Yeah, you're not young enough to do it, and you can
Hmm.
do it with your son.
That's right. That's exactly right. So, where can people find this, the Ultimate Waterfowlers Challenge?
Waterfowlerschallenge.com.
Awesome.
That'll get them started. Waterfowlers, plural, challenge.com.
Awesome.
Just go on there, sign up, and get to ripping, huh?
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a silver membership. That's $250. Then you pay $10 a submission. All your awards are free. Or you buy a gold membership. That's $5.99. All your entries are free. All your awards are free. And there's a bunch of swag that comes with it.
Oh,
We
nice.
give you a certificate, like $100 off a trip you book with us. We give you a Crypt Tech vest, a T-shirt, official jersey we have. That's awesome. A hat.
Well, yeah,
It comes with a whole bunch of stuff.
Nice.
indeed. I'm all about it.
Yeah, that sounds like a good
I
deal.
would love it, man. If I could go out and just start smacking all the ducks everywhere.
John, sounds like you need to start the challenge too.
Hey, I'm going to start it. I saw, what did I see? A hooded McGanzer, I think it was, in the pond right there.
That's a
Boom.
tough one, too. You got to get him.
Hey, boom. Look at there. That, a Canada. Hey, not Canadian. Canada goose. Boom. Knock it off the list. I'm already 2 in, Jim. I'm in. Look at me.
Yep, that's right.
I'm
And then
ripping.
we'll go on to Arkansas and Missouri and get you some more species.
Yeah, see there? Look, looky here. You done created something you don't even know, Jim. A monster.
There you go.
That's what it was.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
We all need another duck monster alongside
That's
this.
right.
Right.
Buddy, hey, listen,
Yeah.
I'm sure my wife, who I'll make her listen to this part. Listen, honey, you're gonna love all the mounts in the house, right, Jim? You got to back me up here.
She'll
You're
love the
gonna love.
coins. She'll love the
See,
coins.
look, the coins.
The
I gotta have
coins,
the
the
board,
mounts.
the
Yeah.
mounts.
Jewelry.
Yeah.
Boom. See,
You got to have it all.
Swag.
kind of got the
Mhm.
swag. That's what I'm talking about. Look, it's gonna be great.
It's
I'm
going
in.
to be great.
Ever
I'm
go
into.
mahi fishing? You don't know
Yeah.
this yet, Jim, but I'm coming down. We're
Yeah,
going
me too.
mahi fishing. Look, I'm just a jerk on one end, waiting for a jerk on the other. I don't really care what we go, but I've got to catch mahi, man. I've got to do it. I love mahi's my favorite fish to eat. Unless is there a better fish in your opinion?
I like mahi, but grouper's pretty good.
Grouper is
Yep,
pretty good.
I'm all about catching one of them
Oh,
too,
yeah.
and frying
Oh,
it up.
that's good. Rockfish is good.
But I say we catch them all and try them all and have a panel.
There you go.
Let's do it.
That sounds
right.
good. And I'm going to hit you up for some hunting destinations. I need to go to Mexico and some other places so I can finish
Argentina
my
sounds
41 because I'm going to buy a board for what I've already killed and then start the challenge again and do it with a 20 gauge.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to Mexico the day after Christmas.
Oh, wow.
I'm
Awesome.
going down to host a bunch of clients. I'll be down 10 days, and then I'm doing a trade show in Dallas at the Texas Trophy Hunter. So if anybody's listening and they're from Dallas and they're going to the Texas Trophy Hunter show, I'll be in booth 9022.
9022, Dallas, Texas, the Texas Trophy Hunter Show.
January 10 through 12.
You ever go to the turkey show in Nashville? Texas?
No, I haven't. I'd like to go.
Dude, we're gonna be there.
Yeah, we're gonna be there. Yeah.
We had a booth last year. I've personally been going. This will be 10 or 11 years now. Jim, you got to go. If you want to go, let me know.
Yeah, you can come hang out in our booth and talk to people about what you're doing too. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, I'll look into it and see what's going on that weekend.
Yeah, we'll send you the dates and all that stuff. I forget.
Absolutely.
It does coincide with Valentine's Day. You might get quarreled out a little bit there. I don't know how that'll work for you, but we'll figure it out.
Oh yeah.
My wife's pretty cool. She was in the military. She get
true. Hey,
Hey, mine is too. Mine's pretty cool.
You tell her that we said thank you for her service.
Yes,
seriously.
thank you so
I will.
much.
You know what she'd tell you? She would do it again and all over. She loved it. She even loved her deployment to Iraq.
Oh, wow.
Well,
I got to tell you a cute joke. My wife's a funny lady.
Okay.
And we're sitting there talking one day, and I said, "Were you ever nervous over there in Iraq? They were launching rockets over the walls into your barracks where you sleep." She goes, "Well, Jim, I was surrounded by my troops, my men all the time, and I was a captain at the time." And she said, "They said to me, Captain Calendar," her last name's Calendar, Captain Calendar, "don't worry. If something comes in on us, we're all going to jump on top to you, protect you." And she said, "When do we practice?"
Oh, that's hilarious.
I said, "Girl, you're crazy." She goes, "No, you have to have that kind of humor when you're surrounded by men every day.
Oh, I bet.
You got to shock them once in a while."
Absolutely. You got to keep them at bay like that,
That's right.
That's
It's hilarious.
Oh, that's great. That is great.
Man. Well, dude, I mean, there's probably 100 more things I could ask you, Jim.
We'll just have to start a campfire one night.
Hey, I'm all the way in.
Yeah.
Listen, but the good news is we kind of left a lot of meat on the bone there. So I think we can have you back sometime in life and deep dive into a few more things. And maybe by then we'll have a story or two of our own to tell together. How's that sound?
Sounds like a winner. You guys, thanks for having me on, and we'll talk again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you. So one more time, where can they find this challenge at?
Waterfowlerschallenge.com.
Perfect. And as always, you guys know we're on every social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Check us out. We're anywhere that you like to listen to podcasts. There is a link in this description that you guys can click on and then donate however you see fit. It really helps us out. And as always, we do have the merch store, rootedtelevision.com. Hit the merch button, get all sorts of sweet swag like we've been talking about. So, Ben, you got anything else, my friend?
Man, I am good to go. I have enjoyed this conversation and looking forward to the next one and looking forward to some adventures together in the field, Mr. Jim. I think it's going to be a fun time.
Sounds good.
Sir. Absolutely. Well, with that, the redneck is out.
See y'all. Have a Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.